In this episode of Biblical Unlocks, we will go through a chapter of the Bible and make it make sense in your life today. Studies routinely show that reading your Bible regularly significantly lowers symptoms of depression, anxiety, and anger, whilst also increasing forgiveness, compassion, and a sense of purpose. So if you enjoy episodes like this, please consider following and rating the show. It's free, helps me out a lot, and you can always change your mind later. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Biblical Unlocks. Today we're going to go through Exodus chapter 12. And Exodus chapter 12 is actually very significant in the biblical narrative because this is Passover. So we're going to go through what Passover is and the significance of Passover in the Exodus story. So if we take a look at what we saw in the previous chapter, we saw that the ninth plague had already been done, and Pharaoh was warned of the impending danger that the firstborns of all of Egypt will be sacrificed. And again, Pharaoh hardened his own heart, refused to listen to Moses, and this is the result. This is going to introduce the Passover, the blood of the Lamb, the birth of Israel as a nation, and the pattern of salvation and how Jesus fulfills all of this. So this is really foundational understanding. So let's begin. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall mark for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Tell the whole congregation of Israel, on the 10th of this month, they are to take a lamb for each family, a lamb for each household. If a household is too small for a whole lamb, it shall join its closest neighbor in obtaining one. The lamb shall be divided in proportion to the number of people who eat of it. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a year-old male. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of the month. Then the whole assembled congregation of Israel shall slaughter it at twilight. They shall take some blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and the lintel of the houses in which they eat it. They shall eat the lamb that same night. They shall eat it roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roasted over the fire with its head and legs and inner organs. You shall let none of it remain until the morning. Anything that remains until the morning you shall burn with fire. This is how you shall eat it: your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it hurriedly. It is the Passover of the Lord. I will pass through the land of Egypt that night, and I will strike down every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from human to animal, and on all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I am the Lord. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you live. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague shall destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt." Verse 14, "This day shall be a day of remembrance for you. You shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord. Throughout your generations you shall observe it as a perpetual ordinance. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove leaven from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day shall be cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall hold a solemn assembly, and on the 7th day a solemn assembly. No work shall be done on those days. Only what everyone must eat, that alone may be prepared by you. You shall observe the festival of unleavened bread, for on this very day I brought your companies out of the land of Egypt. You shall observe this day throughout your generations as a perpetual ordinance. In the first month, from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st day, you shall eat unleavened bread. For 7 days no leaven shall be found in your houses. For whoever eats what is leavened shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether an alien or a native of the land. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your settlements you shall eat unleavened bread." Then Moses called all the elders of Israel and said to them, "Go select lambs for your family, and slaughter the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and touch the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the blood in the basin. None of you shall go outside the door of your house until morning, for the Lord will pass through to strike down the Egyptians. When he sees blood on the lintel and on the 2 doorposts, the Lord will pass over that door, and will not allow the destroyer to enter your houses to strike you down. You shall observe this as a perpetual ordinance for you and your children. When you come to the land that the Lord will give you, as he has promised, you shall keep this observance. And when your children ask you, what does this observance mean to you? You shall say, it is the Passover sacrifice to the Lord, for he passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when he struck down the Egyptians, but spared our houses. And the people bowed down and worshipped. Verse 28, the Israelites did just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. Verse 29, at midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the livestock. Pharaoh arose in the night, he and all his officials and all the Egyptians, and there was a loud cry in Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead. Then he summoned Moses and Aaron in the night and said, rise up, go away from my people, both you and the Israelites. Go, serve the Lord as you said. Take your flocks and your herds, as you said, and be gone, and ask a blessing for me too. The Egyptians urged the people to hasten their departure from their land, for they said, we shall all be dead. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, with their kneading bowls wrapped in their cloaks on their shoulders. The Israelites had acted according to the word of Moses. They had asked the Egyptians for jewelry of silver and gold and for clothing, and the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have what they asked, and so they plundered the Egyptians. Verse 37, the Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides little ones. A mixed crowd also went up with them, and livestock in great numbers, both flocks and herds. They baked unleavened cakes of the dough that they had brought out of Egypt. It was not leavened, because they were driven out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. Verse 40, the time that the Israelites had lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the companies of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. That was for the Lord a night of vigil, to bring them out of the land of Egypt. That same night is a vigil to be kept for the Lord by all Israelites throughout their generations. Verse 43, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance for the Passover. No foreigner shall eat of it, but any slave who has been purchased may eat of it after he has been circumcised. No bound or hired servant may eat of it. It shall be eaten in one house. You shall not take any of the animal outside the house. You shall not break any of its bones. The whole congregation of Israel shall do this. If an alien who resides with you wants to celebrate the Passover to the Lord, all his males shall be circumcised. Then he may draw near to celebrate it. He shall be regarded as a native of the land, but no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. There shall be one law for the native born and for the alien who resides among you. Verse 50, all the Israelites did just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. That very day the Lord brought the Israelites out of the land of Egypt, company by company. Alright, time for some deep biblical unlocks. In Exodus chapter 12, we saw the first Passover, which is really important because God is actually going to give Israel a new calendar, and the calendar is going to start with this Passover. It's going to start with the redemption of the people of Israel. And each household must take, and this is really important, a spotless 1-year-old lamb. It has to have no blemish. They have to kill it by twilight and put its blood on the doorposts. So the lamb will die instead of their firstborn child. So this is where you have substitution taking place. So a sacrifice to take on a punishment that was otherwise meant for you. They must roast the lamb whole, they must eat it with bitter herbs and unleavened bread, and eat it quickly with your staff in hand. So that is implying that you have to leave quickly. There's no time to wait. That's why that you can't leaven the leavened bread. That would take more time. You have to leave hurriedly. So, what does this mean? Salvation happens by substitution. One life substituted for another. Some life must be sacrificed, and it's either your life or someone else's. The blood is not for God's awareness, but their protection. That is to say, it is a sign of faith that you've put the blood of the lamb on your doorpost. The Passover meal that we're seeing here trains Israel to remember salvation forever. Keep remembering salvation. And the most important thing here is this becomes the primary pattern for Jesus, who is the true Passover lamb. And we see this in 1 Corinthians 5 verse 6 to 8. Paul picked up on this. He recognized that Jesus Christ is the ultimate Passover lamb. He says in 1 Corinthians 5, 6 to 8, "Your boasting is not a good thing. Do you not know that a little yeast leavens the whole dough? Clean out the old yeast, so that you may be a new batch of dough, as you really are unleavened. For our paschal lamb, Christ, has been sacrificed. Therefore let us celebrate the festival, not with the old yeast, the yeast of malice and evil, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth." And we remember what John the Baptist said when he saw Jesus Christ. John chapter 1 verse 29. "The next day he saw Jesus coming towards him and declared, 'Here is the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world.'" So, this is what we can understand. The Passover lamb, Jesus' blood is shed, a lamb's blood is shed. And the shedding of the blood of the lamb saves us from death. And that's exactly what's happening in Exodus chapter 12. This is a really important chapter that we're probably going to go back to numerous times to remember that this is the Paschal Lamb. For 7 days, they have to remove all leaven from their houses, and anyone who eats leavened bread is cut off. I don't know if you caught this in verse 15 to 20, but what that represents is hidden sin, corruption, and old patterns. That's what we saw in 1 Corinthians 5, 6 to 8 that we just read. And redemption demands cleansing, but God not only rescues his people, but also sanctifies them, redeems them, cleanses them of their old iniquities. And salvation includes a changing in lifestyle, a radical change in lifestyle. And Moses' people, the Israelites, they obey God's instructions, and they obey in faith before they see any results. The obedience is immediate, complete, but the faith, the results, comes later. And this is something that we really need to understand, that true faith leads to concrete actions before anything can be seen. Any visual, tangible outcomes can be seen. From verses 29 to 32, that's when the Lord strikes down every firstborn in Egypt at midnight, from Pharaoh to the captive in the dungeon. And Pharaoh finally calls Moses and Aaron to leave Israel. The ramification here, or the understanding that we can garner from this particular part of the chapter, is that God's judgment is impartial. Pharaoh's son, the captive's son, everyone is going to face my judgment. However, Pharaoh's hardness leads the entire nation to devastation. His hardness of heart, his refusal to let the Israelites go, causes significant hardship, suffering, and pain for the Egyptians. But what does this mean? This was the birth of Israel as a nation. Israel departs, and redemption has been completed through the Lamb. So that's it for this episode of Biblical Unlocks. This show is designed to help you keep up your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life. I upload daily, so if you don't want to miss tomorrow's episode, feel free to rate the show and follow. Otherwise, just have a blessed day. And always remember, if you're not in your word, you're in your feelings. Godspeed.